My friends, good day. In the United Kingdom, April Fool's Day is every day. So today the weather is nice. That's rare. That only happens once in a while. But absurd news is part of our everyday lives. We're flooded with it. I'll give you a few examples. I have some newspapers here, you'll see. So, first of all, February 2025, that was 2 weeks ago. We have an Albanian citizen who appears before the court because he wants to fight against his deportation. His deportation was ordered because he is a criminal. He organized large-scale fraud, and so it was decided to remove him, to send him to Albania. What does he say to the judge? He says that his son, he has a child, and this child, well, he prefers British nuggets, chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets are in bags in the freezer. Well, he said that when his son is in the United Kingdom, he eats and finishes his plate of nuggets. When he takes him to Albania, he serves him Albanian chicken nuggets. When he gives them to the kid, he leaves half the food on his plate. The judge followed this argument and decided to grant this criminal the right to stay in the United Kingdom. You see? Chicken nuggets are important. Today we have a legal precedent in the United Kingdom that access to British chicken nuggets is a fundamental human right. So next, another story. Still, February 2025. I'm not gathering stories from a century ago. These are stories that are almost part of our everyday lives. We have a certain Decap. The full name hasn't been made public, and you'll understand why. Well, he killed his wife. He's a Turkish citizen. He came home and found his wife chatting with someone, a man, online. He took a knife and killed her. He is a kebab shop worker by profession. He was living illegally until the murder. He was living illegally in the United Kingdom. But the murder gave him rights in the sense that he appears before the court, flanked by his lawyers, paid for by humanitarian organizations. And he says that the victim's family, his wife's family, didn't take the murder very well. And if he goes back to Turkey, he risks facing some pretty harsh words. What does the judge do? He orders that he be given a residence permit. So someone got legalized through his wife's blood, got legalized through murder. We hear stories like this every day. Here are the names. This is the newspaper from March 6, 2025. So we have an Albanian mobster. He committed acts de terrorisme. He killed a cop here in the United Kingdom. Well, he has the right to stay in the United Kingdom because of that murder, because there's a legal battle over his human rights and all that. And notice one thing, this story about the Albanian killer, this last story I'm showing you, this one is being played out before the European Court of Human Rights. But the story of the man who killed his wife and the story about the chicken nuggets both take place in the United Kingdom. That means that, in a way, you notice that whether we've left Europe or not, we have courts that are just as activist, just as fanatical as the European Court of Human Rights. So it hasn't changed anything at all. What should have been done is to leave the European Union and dismantle the entire establishment. Except that we left the European Union and we handed the keys over to people who are even more unhinged, who make van der Leyen, who even make Macron, who would even make the ECHR, who make them look like reasonable people. That gives you an idea. So we have another one. Journal from March 6, 2025. That way I'm not suspected of having collected newspapers over 10 years and showing you only exceptional cases. The newspapers I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you 3 of them, are all from the same day, March 6, 2025, and tomorrow there will be others. So this is the daily newspaper. So we have a pretty impressive story. Starting next month, the rules that judges will use to hand down sentences, that means to decide how much prison time or whether to send the criminal to prison or not, well, they will be based on ethnic and gender rules, right? So ethnic minorities who commit crimes and transgender people will get better treatment By the way, you'll notice in British statistics that female crime is skyrocketing simply because a lot of criminals, sometimes murderers and so on, suddenly declare themselves as women, saying, well, I'm a woman. From there, they are counted in women's crime statistics. So this creates huge histograms, and when we look at them, we say, what's going on? What's happening with these women? Deuxièmement. Secondly, he has the right to request a transfer to women's prisons. And very often, sometimes even sexual predators are sent to women's prisons. And the women are afraid of these people. They put up with them. They endure all the violence from them, and they are forced to stay silent. Because otherwise, what happens is that if they complain to the administration, they will be accused of transphobia. They will be accused of discrimination based on gender identity. And so at that point, it will seriously compromise their chances of early release. That means these women won't be able to get out. So in reality, they don't have a choice. Either they let it happen or they stay in prison longer and will have to endure it even longer. So those are really the only two choices they have. Do you see what I mean? By the way, here we have a prolific rapist who is the son of an official from the Chinese Communist Party who raped 60 women in the United Kingdom. It was in London. He gave chemicals to women, he dragged them to his place, he raped them and filmed them, right? I don't know how many British people do the same thing in China. How many British people do the same thing in China? I think there are some. I have the numbers. It's close to zero. But on the other hand, since we're a country where we have absolutely no, I don't even talk about sovereignty anymore when I talk about the United Kingdom. I talk about dignity. Because first you have to learn. It's like a child. If you want to teach him to ride a scooter, first, before he can ride a scooter, he has to be able to walk. If the child can't walk, he won't be able to ride a scooter. So we can't talk about sovereignty for a country that has no dignity left. Do you understand? It's important. These are from the past. Let me show you another. So today we have another one from March 6, 2025, Honor Your Promise. Why? Because we said that once we have Brexit and we're going to control our borders, we will, careful, they said we're going to control our borders. What people understood at the time was that once the United Kingdom controls its borders, it will therefore reduce illegal immigration. It will crack down on illegal immigration by boat. In reality, there was a huge misunderstanding. The misunderstanding was about the fact that the British leaders, the system, the establishment, they wanted to take back control of the borders to create waves of immigration that were much stronger, much more intense than what we had at the time in the European Union. That's what it really was. So what do we have here? We have a story. We have a story that unfolds and explains that there's a taxi. There's a taxi from the French authorities who handle the transfer, who pick up the migrants in French waters and then bring them to the United Kingdom. And actually, in general, they hand them over to the British Navy, which then takes care of bringing them to the British beaches. In reality, it's practically a ferry service. It's a free ferry. You just show up, you go 300 meters off the coast, from the coast that takes you back to England. And actually, the newspaper is doing a bit of French bashing. That means in the sense that the article is going to criticize the French. It's going to criticize the French. It's like, we aren't to blame, it's the French, but that's actually not true. I can believe that the French are offering a taxi service to the United Kingdom. I can believe it. On the other hand, it's really the United Kingdom that rolls out the red carpet with buses on the beaches, with translators, social workers, associations, lawyers, forms, all that. Me, I'm British. Filling out forms is tough for me. I have to download, print, send, or find them online all by myself. If a box is complicated, I Google it, but I often make mistakes. Recently, I submitted a 60-page form to the administration. After 15 days, they returned it because I missed a box. I have no one to help me. I manage everything alone. For them, the help is there. We already have the officials waiting to meet them. We have hundreds or thousands of hotel rooms that are rented. In fact, to tell you, we have our first billionaire. He is not a billionaire yet. He is about to become a billionaire. I think his fortune today is around 0.8 to 0.9 billion. This billionaire is just a gypsy who rents hotel rooms to the state. He rents thousands of hotel rooms to the state to house migrants. Hundreds of hotel rooms are rented but remain empty, just in case the state needs them to house migrants. Which means the state said, how many do we have? Okay, I'll take this many for the migrants I have, but I'll take, come on, add 500 more rooms on top of that. Only these. We leave them empty in case we need them. In a context where a lot of British people live in substandard housing because they can't afford more, where we have homeless people, where we have students going to food banks to eat, we have working poor, etc. And then meanwhile, well, there you go. We have a state that, now you need to know one thing. The British state has declared war. The British elites declared war on the United Kingdom a long time ago. So you just have to see it. All of this, what I'm showing you, is not just isolated events. These aren't events that happened on March 6th or on some day in February and then that's it. No, no. These are events that, when you place them in a much broader context, you see that it's about elites who have always looked down on the people, by the way, who have always thought that, look, yesterday Macron was speaking, yes, he's appealing to the French, etc. The people, they're only needed in two cases. We need them when we're going to take their money, when we're going to take their savings, when we're going to take the fruit of their labor. We're going to take Vati from them. We're going to take income tax, inheritance tax, and now today we have so many taxes that the tax code, I don't even know if there's a single person today who fully understands it, basically. There are so many deductions that it's like death by 1,000 cuts, in a way. So we need him in that case, and we also need citizens when we want them to go and give their blood for what we call the homeland. I mean, here, I'm in the United Kingdom. If you put a flag, a Union Jack in front of your door, it would be pretty frowned upon. If a neighbor calls the town hall or calls the police saying my neighbor put the British flag in his window, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I wonder if it's not a declaration of supremacism or something like that. You might have the police or town hall officials come knocking. Yes, hello, we saw your flag. It's causing a bit of discomfort in the neighborhood. We've received complaints and so on. So that's the British flag. Now, you have the right to put up the Ukrainian flag. Of course, that's clear. That's something else. It's a flag that has more dignity than the British flag. And that's in the United Kingdom. I'm not talking about another country. So, on the other hand, today, when we need people, citizens who are going to get killed for distant wars, then it's fine, then we need them. So the only relationship we have with the country today is either you give your blood or you give your money. You give the fruits of your lab or you give your blood. If you're too old, you can give your blood through your children too. If you have children old enough to fight, you can also send them. That's just fine. Okay? It's a fact. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. I'm just stating the facts. It's sad, but that's the reality. Anyway, my friends, thank you for watching this video up to this point. And I'll see you in the next one. See you very soon.